One of the most challenging things for many players right after a wipe is inventory management. Even if you're surviving all of your raids, you still have to deal with the items that you take out of those raids and start prioritizing what you need to keep for tasks, for your hideout, barters, and what you need to sell to start accumulating profit. If you're a standard account user, this becomes even more complicated for you as your space is significantly lower than that of an Edge of Darkness account. So knowing what items you need soon versus way later down the quest line it's important to be able to weigh what to keep and what to sell based on where you are in the tasks. Let's go over some of the best practices on wipe day and throughout your early wipe gameplay in Escape from Tarkov. Hi, I'm Solarius and welcome to another wipe guide for Escape from Tarkov. This guide will be primarily focused on managing your inventory within those first few days of wipe while you're collecting tons of quest items that you'll need later on. The first thing I would recommend doing within the first couple of days of wipe is finding a list of all of the items you'll need for tasks, similar to the one that I have shown here on screen. This is the one that I personally use and is available in my Discord in the Tarkov info channel. You can use this so that you can start collecting as many of those items as early as possible and as quickly as possible. Once you've got this list and you're keeping it on either your second screen or you're keeping a notepad or something marking off the items as you get them, you'll want to ensure that these items are your priority throughout the wipe. You'll want to make sure that the items that are needed first are your main priority, and then items that are needed significantly later can be sold if you find that they are not rare enough to justify keeping. When it comes to the actual management of your inventory, the first priority is to make sure that you're using every individual cell as effectively and as efficiently as possible. The first way to do this that I see a lot of newer players struggle with, and even a lot of veteran players struggle with, is making sure that you stack your bags regardless of this amount of inventory space that you have. I've seen a lot of people who get off of their scav run, and even though they don't have very much space, all they have is space to drop their bag. So they'll put everything in the bag and then dump the bag into the inventory. If you struggle with this and you find that you don't have the inventory space to dump all the stuff in your bag and the bag, this is where you're going to use the sorting table. So you want to make sure that you're using the sorting table to the best of your ability, using it to stack all of your bags and then dump the rest of the items as well. This is going to give you the best opportunity to make sure all of your bags are stacked at all times and will prevent your inventory from getting filled with a bunch of different bags that are just filled with random junk that you've collected out of different scav raids or different PMC raids where you just dumped the bag at the end of the raid. The next important thing to go along with using these cells efficiently is to make sure that every single rig that you have, you're using these cells inside of the rig to the most effective and efficient that you can. So you want to make sure that every rig day one, you immediately fill it with whether it's the food, whether it's the ammo, whether it's guns. You want to make sure that you're filling your rigs all the way to the absolute fullest, as most of the rigs take up less space than they can carry. So you want to make sure that you're filling every rig. Make sure you have every piece of ammo, every piece of food in a rig if you have the amount of rigs available. On day one, I generally set aside one rig for food and water. I set aside one rig for pistols and pistol ammo, and I set aside one rig for all of my meds. I then stack all of my bags, and then in the bottom of the last bag, I place the rig where I have my food in. So I always know that my food is at the bottom of that bag. Then I place whatever my remaining helmets or headphones in the bottom of that bag as well, because it's generally a day pack, and I can drop a couple extra helmets in there as well after I throw in a commando rig. The absolute best tip that anybody can give you when it comes to managing your inventory within the first few days is that your first priority is to make sure that you can purchase the Lucky Scav junk box as soon as possible. You can purchase this at level 1 from therapists for about 1.1 million rubles. Although for a lot of players this can be a lot of money, you want to make this your first priority. As long as you're prioritizing surviving raids and getting out, you should be making this money quite quickly. Even if it's not great items that you're getting, fill your bag, get out of the raid, sell all of it, go back in, continue to try to bankroll your kits, and then in addition to that, make money on top of that so that you can keep climbing higher and higher and get to that 1.1 million ruble mark. As soon as you hit about 1.2 or 1.3 and you have a little bit of a cushion, I would buy that Lucky Scav junk box as quickly as you can. The biggest thing preventing you from getting the Lucky Scav junk box very, very quickly, as you could probably purchase it after about 1 or 2 raids, is the fact that you have to complete a lot of different hideout installs very early on. And so this will be the biggest thing preventing you from doing it. So go ahead and do the hideout installs installs, and then immediately set your focus on that Lucky Scav junk box, as that's going to give you the inventory space to continue on throughout the wipe and collect all the task items that you need later on and have a place to put them in the meantime. As I mentioned previously, it's really important to prioritize what items that you need to keep right now and what items that you need to sell. Even though you may need them later on, it's time to sell them early on, only because you have time to get them again. So for example, when you're collecting flash drives, if you get your initial 3 flash drives and get a flash drive for a dog tag case barter, even though you need 2 later on, it might be worth it for you to go ahead and sell a couple of them if that's what's going to keep you from getting the Lucky Scav junk box, because then the flash drives that you need later on, all the other task items, you'll now have a place to put. The next container very early on that you want to prioritize is going to be the dog tag case. You can take this and put it in your secure container while you're running raids, and anybody you kill, you can throw the dog tag in there, or you can just keep it out and then throw them in there as you get out of the raids. This you can barter from Jaeger for 3 flash drives very early on, or you can also purchase it from Therapist level 1 for about 345,000 rubles. If you have any questions about gathering flash drives to get these for your dog tag case barter, I'll have that video in the top right. If you are able to barter for multiple of these and have gotten really good luck on flash drives, this is also a great way to start getting closer to your Lucky Scav junk box, because they're about 200k each if you sell them to Therapist. So if you're getting really lucky on flash drives, if you have 2 and you think you can get another, go ahead and save, get the 3rd one, sell the dog tag case back to Therapist, and that'll help you get closer to that Lucky Scav junk box that you're looking to get. One of the 2 final containers that you want to prioritize is going to be the ammo box. You get a ton of ammo when you start, and you'll want to make sure that you're collecting some of the better ammo as you go through. Anytime you find better ammo, you're going to want to be saving that and taking that out of raids. So having an ammo box is going to help you tremendously here, so that you can save up a decent amount of all of the better ammos, and then you'll be able to use those early on before other players have access to them. What you'll need to complete this barter is 2 cans of thermite and 2 of the green Eagle gunpowders. You can do this from mechanic at level 1, and this is very easy to do. You'll have to keep an eye out for the cans of thermite, as they can be a little bit more difficult to find sometimes. I find them quite commonly on interchange and on shoreline. However, the green gunpowder should be pretty easy to find. I find it pretty commonly in duffel bags and the stashes as well. The final early game case that you'll want to be focused on getting will not be available until level 13. However, you'll want to be collecting the items that you'll need for the barter throughout level 1 to level 13. This is going to be the medicine case that you can purchase from Therapist at level 2 Therapist. You're going to need 2 Vaseline, 7 blood sets, and 7 disposable syringes. This is one of the most important cases that you can get, as you can throw all of your meds in it. It holds a bunch of different items like piles of meds, disposable syringes, some of the items that also fit in your Lucky Scav junk box. So if you're filling that up, you have space for them as well in the meds case. It's one of the best items that you can get early on, and because of the amount of meds you'll want to keep at all times, it's a great thing to have without filling up the rest of your inventory. As mentioned before, the priority here is to make sure that every cell is being used as efficiently as possible. So what you're going to want to be looking for, any rig that takes up less space than it contains inside of it, is a priority. You want to put that rig in your bag, start filling it, and then you can take that out of raid. You can sell it if you want to, or you can use it for your inventory management once you get out. In addition to that, most of these cases do the same thing. So the Lucky Scav junk box expands your inventory space for those junk items tremendously. The medicine case expands your inventory space for medicine tremendously. The dog tags case takes up only 1 slot and holds, I think, 100 dog tags. So having these items increases the inventory space that you have exponentially. If you're getting really lucky, if you're having a lot of success early on in the wipe and you're starting to make quite a bit of money, I would also recommend purchasing a second Lucky Scav junk box if you can get to that point. And then you can set 1 Scav junk box aside specifically for your quest items, and 1 Scav junk box aside specifically for the items that you're planning to sell to the flea market. So if you get a bunch of items that you know you like to sell to the flea market whenever you hit it, you can have a Lucky Scav junk box that's 100% dedicated to that until you get to the flea market. And then once you reach the flea market, you can sell all those items, dump your Lucky Scav junk box off to Therapist, and then you'll just have 1 Scav junk box, which you can just use to fill for your task items. Now, it's impossible to talk about prioritizing items without giving you kind of a list of the items that you really want to prioritize. As I mentioned before, I will have that entire list of items that you'll need for tasks in the Discord. If you join the Discord and go to the Tarkov info channel, that's going to be where you're going to have that list available for you. I'll also have a few other resources there for you that will try to help you be as successful as possible on wipe day. However, the biggest items that you want to be looking for, especially the first few days: Saluas, morphines, flash drives, gas analyzers, circuit boards, graphics cards, LEDXs, of course, ophthalmoscopes. Those are going to be the big ones that I either struggle to find later on, or that I find I'm always running into a brick wall once I get to them and I have to go search for them. So make sure that you're looking for those items, save those, throw those in your Lucky Scav junk box, and then check the task item list for the remainder of those. As a general rule, if the quest is much further on down the quest line, it is much less dire for you to have that item. However, there are a few items like graphics cards, like LEDXs, which are extremely rare, and as soon as you get one, you'll probably want to hold on to it. Everyone that you get after that you can get rid of, but when you get the initial amount that you need for the quest, you'll want to just go ahead and hold on to those because they are much more rare and much more difficult to farm once you reach them. In general, inventory management comes down to a combination of hoarding properly and selling when needed. Although you may need an item later on, the value of that item in the moment may be greater than the value it is to hold on to that item for a week. So you really just have to weigh personally whether you think that that item is worth sitting in your inventory for a week when that's when you're going to get the quest, or whether or not it's worth to sell it now because you think you'll find it again once you get closer to that quest in a week. It is up to you as a player and based off of your individual experiences, skills, and opinion as to which items that you find to be the ones that you struggle to find. So if you don't run certain maps or only run certain maps, it might be much more difficult for you to find certain items, whereas I might prioritize other items because I never run the maps that you run. So it's up to you as a player to determine which items you find to be the most taxing on you once you hit those tasks. So it's really important for you to weigh that and make a decision in the moment as to whether or not you think that that item is worth holding on to for a week, 2 weeks, or if it's worth selling in that moment. I hope that this video helped you develop a way or a mindset of prioritizing which items you need to keep and which items you don't need to keep, and will help you be able to sell items and not feel like you need to hoard everything so that you can get closer to those items that will help you expand your inventory space as well. If you enjoyed the video, or if you felt like the video was helpful at all, it would be greatly appreciated and definitely helps out the channel if you hit the like button and then comment down below and let me know what your favorite inventory management tip is as well. If you would like to see more content like this, I recommend subscribing and checking out the Wipe Hype playlist. If you are a new player and are interested in getting into the game but are struggling with the steep learning curve, I'd recommend checking out the Lost in Tarkov playlist, which I'll have up in a few days. This will be geared towards newer players going through keybinds, going through managing inventory in a little bit more depth. This will go over the health system, the tasks, all kinds of stuff in much more depth than I will be in general videos like this. I greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch the video. I hope that it was helpful to you. So with that being said, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.